This is Two Homers and a Realist. We have just completed the Kansas State game. An absolute ugly meltdown. The Sooners lose 41-34 under the lights that flickered. Really, really bad. Really frustrating. I think everyone is feeling the pain, and maybe this will be a good exercise in getting it exercised out of us. I'm Steve.
I'm Connor.
Jay.
Lucas.
And everyone's disappointed. Everyone's pretty frustrated, I think.
I'm more
I
pissed than
definitely am.
anything.
You're more pissed?
Yep. Pissed at myself again for drinking the Kool-Aid. Then again, we had a good defense. Our defense sucks. We hadn't played any offenses worth of shit, except Kent State looks like their offense is decent, but Nebraska's trash. We can't stop a running quarterback. It's plain and simple. He was running the Jalen Hurts model today. He would take a step back. If he looked at his first read, maybe a second read, and if they weren't open, he was just taking off running, and it absolutely destroyed us today.
Well, I'm not going to disagree with you. I'm going to try to be more constructive. I'm not going to – I don't think that all is lost and this is a futile effort, but I do think the way I would characterize it is exposure. We got exposed today. We got exposed in a number of key positions with our shortcomings there, talent shortcomings. We're going to have to probably just face the fact that we've lost talent over the last few years. There's been a depletion, and it with the people that left early, especially last year, it has a lot of work to be done. The coaching is not as polished and as good as we'd like to see it, but I guess it always looks that way in a loss. We'll definitely talk about, and I don't know if we'll argue much rather than just agree with how bad some of the coaching was in some key moments, as well as just through the duration of the game in some respects. But to me, the number one takeaway is the weaknesses we have at certain key positions with players and multiple players in those positions, offensively and defensively. I'll mention briefly, I think Gabriel is just not as good as we'd like him to be. He looked pretty average at times tonight, pretty good at other times. His inability to connect on the intermediate slant and the intermediate post and those balls, in addition to not looking through everything on the field, is just a really big shortcoming there. A few key decision-making moments or opportunities that he fails on. That was really frustrating. But then defensively, we've got guys like Broyles and even Key Lawrence, who missed a key tackle at one point and fell down and missed a receiver. Just really, really bad mistake. So it's not just the one player in that one position, but more things to say about that. Penalties.
Shooting yourselves in the foot over and over.
So many bad
false
out of sync
starts.
penalties. It really looked to me like we just were not ready to go from the start of this game. We were not prepared for this game in some way, some fashion. Call it a hangover from a tremendous game at Nebraska, drinking Kool-Aid or thinking that this was a walkover, cakewalk because it's a K-State team that loses to Tulane. Whatever it was, we didn't look prepared on a coaching standpoint or a player standpoint. But I've talked too much. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was maybe the gut punch that none of us wanted, but some of us maybe were waiting for. I mean, again, we've all been in the same boat. I mean, this is the first, outside of the Gundy incident, the first moment of adversity that the Brent Venables era of Oklahoma football is facing. But it was, I mean, just like I think Steve put it perfectly. I think from the jump, we were a step behind on both sides of the ball. I was hoping those first couple drives were kind of what we saw at Nebraska, which I didn't like anyways, is, educational drives to see how they're setting up and see how we're going to scheme and how we're going to coach it out. But, the whole game, when we tie it up and we immediately give the lead back, just felt a step behind, the entire night. So very conservative when I didn't think we had to be, and there was just a lot of stuff out there that just made all of us, I think, scratch our heads, whether it be the personnel who were out there or the plays that were being called in certain parts of the game. So disappointed is putting it lightly, for sure.
Yeah, I was surprised at the lack of push from the interior defensive line. I don't know if our ends were either coming too far, but we had no pressure whatsoever, even when we did bring blitz packages. Mm-hmm. And schematically, I don't know how long it could possibly take to adjust to the scrambling quarterback, but we did not seem to have a designated spy, which early on you should have realized, hey, this, like Lucas has said, he's going to take a read or two and take off running. I don't know.
Canick could have been a perfect spy.
Yeah, I don't get it.
He didn't sniff the field.
And my brother pointed out that he doesn't think Venables has ever wanted to have a spy. He's always been resistant to that, and I don't know if that's true or not. I assume he knows what he's talking about there, but it would have been a great opportunity for a spy.
I mean,
Multiple
it does.
times the spy
I
would
get
have
it.
been
It
great.
takes away a
One
player.
player.
I mean, if he's
Right.
not running, your spy's just kind of,
Right.
what am I doing here? But
Yeah, but he had 21 rushing attempts for like 160 yards.
You take him out of that for sure.
I mean, if
and
they
you
ran-
can disguise it as a spy and stop spying. Once he thinks you're going to spy and not rush and take away those rushes from him, but
I mean, if they ran 60 plays, he ran on 21 of those. That's a third of the game that position would have been useful,
Yeah.
and for sure on the third and longs when you knew that's what he was doing.
right.
Did we record a sack today?
no,
Nope.
I don't think
No.
so.
I could even
Couple tackles for loss, but no
barely.
sacks.
I can't even hardly remember any tackle for losses.
Yeah,
honestly.
just
I think-
and a
I
lot
can
of
remember-
right at the line.
I
missed
can remember
tackles,
3.
missed tackles for losses. The missed tackles today were phenomenal. That was really shocking.
The Deshaun White.
The
missed
Deshaun
tackle
White
was-
missed tackle killed us because
Yes.
Yeah.
he got 5 more yards
on
and a
third-
face mask.
on a third down or a.
I think
Yeah,
it was.
that was
it
a
was
huge play.
It was a third down. That
I don't
they
think it
ended
was
up- or
third
a second
down.
or a second down that would have forced them into a third and long.
Yeah.
I think.
And instead, he missed him. He went
Yeah.
5 more yards and got a face mask, so gave him 15.
The face
It was a
mask
20-yard play.
tell me a lot about them being out of position and slow. When you're grasping and you're grabbing whatever you can, it ends up being a face mask multiple times.
I think that small of a guy, that's just I think he gets an inordinate
Well,
amount
that
of
might
face
be
masks
that too, but
because he doesn't
I
have the
agree.
body to grab.
I agree with that.
There's just less surface area.
well, that's probably true, but I think they were out of place. I think these guys were not form tackling in front of someone. They were reaching and trying to get to somebody that had outstepped them. So they're either out of position or they're being athleted by having someone outrun them and juke them.
I mean, the hell, there was a third down when Vaughn was running on the left side. He was running on down the side, and we hit him from behind and pushed him 3 yards,
yards
and gave him
forward.
the first down.
Yeah.
When if they would have
Yeah.
just grabbed him and pulled
was
him straight
early
down,
on.
yeah,
Yeah,
it was in
it
the
was really
first quarter.
frustrating.
It was.
It literally gave him a
way
first
more-
down, and it would have been third. It would have been 4th and 3 if they'd have just grabbed him and pulled him straight down instead
They
of
probably would have gone for it.
blowing him up.
anyways.
I don't know. That was at midfield, 4th and 3, early in the game.
Let's break down where we think the greater, or maybe it's equally, the blame lies. I think that this is a game where I don't want to necessarily come back to the old concept of complementary football. It's more like one or the other has to be working. And when both your defense and your offense aren't working, it's going to catch up to you in a very bad way against a quality opponent with a very good coach. And that happened today. The defense, guys that were out of position, guys that didn't seem to know what they were going to do, or schemes that were bad, missed tackles, all of these little things adding up together to get you in a position where a team was going to score points, and they did. And then you have the offense where we sputtered at times. At other times we had success, but the success we had throwing the ball in the second quarter we went away from until the very end of the game. We had success rushing. I got excited about that, thinking that we were seeing some adjustments that they were making after half in that third quarter with the big open field runs. But a couple comments there. One, it's as if K-State was a bend don't break, and we didn't realize that wasn't going to work after about the 40-yard line, because our drive
Stalled
stalled
out
every
hard.
time.
Right in that same
Well,
If-
spot.
false
if-
starts. I mean,
Well, it's
you
false
get 2
starts.
first downs and a false
It
start,
was-
and it's first
it
and
was
15.
screen
or
plays.
significantly losing first and second down.
Yeah, either running for 2 yards or throwing the ball to the sidelines, and the guy misses a block.
Yeah,
or
we could not
it's
get the
everyone
corner.
there
Our
could
receivers,
never
our
get
receiver
open.
blocking today was
Nobody
it
hit
was
the corners
trash.
today. Yep.
Maybe we're missing.
I mean, but that's the thing. You run those plays without your best blocking receivers like Drake Stoops in there.
Right.
You're running him off the field, and you're running those plays to the flats with people like Weiss, who's not known for blocking.
And he definitely missed a big one.
Missed
tonight.
a big block in the flat.
And that was actually an opportunity for someone on that east side. I can't remember who it was. Was it Farouk?
Mm-hmm.
He actually could have gotten some good yardage because there was only one guy there. Other times we were throwing it into the flats and the sidelines where it was 3 or 4 Kansas State players that were just converging on it. So it was a misread at best.
I think again goes back to the
we had
outcoached.
bad coaching in certain situations too, because you had the at the end of the half, you let K-State drive down the field, and we had the opportunity to use 2 timeouts, and it would have got us the ball back when K-State kicked the field goal. We would have had about 50 seconds left on the clock when they would have kicked off to us. And even if you just try to get 3 first downs in 50 seconds and kick a field goal, that cuts in the deficit a little bit.
And it's momentum.
And
you
momentum.
get the ball back.
Yeah. And then towards the end of the game, for some reason, the clock just kept running after first down after first down after first down.
Yeah.
And nobody ever said anything to the refs. And if they did, they didn't do anything about it, which was shocking to me. And then it all tumbled downhill.
Yep, very much
over
so.
and over.
Well, the other thing I was going to say about the running game there, one, it was surprising to see Gray do so well. And he really was hitting the hole with authority and just going. And then later on, he was going back when the field was shorter to these little dance moves instead of continuing to hit and go. That was frustrating. And then it was interesting to see, even though he's pulling in front of Major in my mind in terms of how well he's doing with those big runs, he's still not someone who can just break away and run free.
Yeah, there's at least 2 runs that
he got caught.
A faster back would have split the defense.
And another thing Mike pointed out was he's wondering if Venables, in all of these cases, defensive as well, is turning to upperclassmen too much. The experience, and not letting a guy like Barnes, in this case with the running back, be the guy, because Barnes maybe takes those to the house.
And see, that's what's so odd to me is something that we talked about in a midweek a couple weeks ago, is during one of Venables' press conferences, he specifically mentions that his philosophy and his guidance towards coaches is, hey, freshman earned a spot, freshman's doing good, go put the freshman, what's the worst that can happen? He goes and gets burned and we go back out there, blah, blah, blah. Like, man, you're saying that. Kanik doesn't see the field today after an immense performance last week. Yeah, there was some young moments for him, but again, there's some places that you could use him today. I mean, there's speed on speed over there.
Right.
So I mean, it's just again, just kind of scratching the head. I'm not saying I'm questioning the program at all, but
I am.
It's odd.
I'm very unimpressed with Levy's scripted play calling to start the games, because we have pretty much been.
It's only worked in one game. UTEP.
Every start.
Yeah.
And if not, we maybe get 1 first down. And we always end up like in a 3rd and long too. We're not getting good push or the right call on 1st and 2nd down. And so that's disappointing. He's got to – other teams come out, and that's usually their best set of 12, 15 plays. Right? It's the start of the game and maybe the start of the 3rd quarter. They've scripted it out. They know what they want to do. Defensively, honestly, when they're announcing lineups, I was shocked that Harmon and Broyles were starters.
Yep, same here.
Shocked, honestly.
Yeah.
I don't know what to say. I know we were all texting amongst each other, and I was tracking a useless stat, but Broyles started the game last week against Nebraska at safety. Nebraska went right on the field and scored. He started the first 2 drives tonight against K-State. They went right down the field and scored. And then Key came on, and that's when our defense actually started to make stops. Yeah. Now, Key wasn't the answer, the be-all, ultimately. But he was part of the big better stop. When he was out there.
And that's he could set a tone on the 1st and 2nd drive. Like,
right.
You want, again, just like offense, those are your 12, 15 best plays that you have in your playbook. Go set a tone with your defense and put your best guys out there and say, you're not going to score on us.
Put some fear into their and some disruption immediately into their game
great
plan.
For Harmon. I'm glad he had a great week at practice. I love that he put in some good reps. Is that the guy that's going to go win me a game? Probably not, right? So
it's very confusing. Maybe they're feeling things out a lot more than we realize. That's probably true. And maybe it's just not as clear as we think that it is,
and what it will be,
what it will be later on. That they are young. There is a young team, young together. It's brand new everything.
And that's the lip service we're going to get this week.
And it's true.
You guys expect you guys, this fan base, myself, most of us here expected this great power of a team to carry on what we saw in those first 3 games.
Yeah.
And then reality hit us right in the face tonight. So
It did. We got exposed, and it was. It is tough. It is tough to see that exposure happen, and you kind of come down to reality, and also maybe we swing the pendulum too far because we think that we're the worst thing that we ever have seen, and that's not true. But it is very frustrating to see us do as well as we've done, see these glimpses, and then you just sputter so bad, and you do lose only by a touchdown, but it felt the whole night like we were just behind the chains. That's what was frustrating about it. I guess we're not used to losing this way. We're used to being able, and maybe we're spoiled, or that's become our nature to expect in the last, obviously, few years under Lincoln and just over the course of the Stoops years, that we would be back in games. We could come back. We could put together an offensive performance, and we would be going toe-to-toe with someone. But we weren't exactly doing that tonight.
No, it was a very different game.
We were and in fact, we fall 14 points behind and barely get to a point where we have a slight chance at the very end of the game.
I think tonight was, and it's no excuse, and it's not really like the ball didn't bounce our way type scenario.
Yeah, there weren't turnovers.
There
and
just
stuff
wasn't.
Like
Everything that we did wrong was at a very inopportune time.
Right.
I mean, missed throws were at crucial times.
Offsides.
Penalties were at crucial times.
Face mask.
When we did the kickoff that they returned pretty far down the field, the guy thought about not coming out with it.
Do you think he thought about it, or do you think that was a move?
No,
I thought it was a move.
I don't think it's a move because all the football that we watch, and I don't know why this happens, it messes with the lanes or their timing or their spacing.
That's why I thought it was a
Every
move.
time a guy like muffs the ball
right.
and then picks it up,
he runs
gets
for
a 50
60
yard
yards.
Run.
Yeah.
I think he thought for a second, like, I'm going to wait, okay, I'm going to go, and then it just messed up our
I
lanes.
thought it was a great move,
So
but he did. He
like
messed up the lanes.
Everyone should do that every time.
I agree.
But
I
just
totally agree.
everything, I don't want to say everything that went wrong.
Enough went wrong consistently to make it where this game looked so ugly, and we never felt like I was convinced in the second quarter we are most likely going to lose this game.
Yeah, it had
Before
that feel.
you sent the text, we were going to mess around and lose this game, I was already there a quarter and a half before that, just thinking we've already messed around and we're going to lose this game.
That was halftime for me.
Yeah.
It felt like halftime of 2019 at K-State when it was we were down a touchdown.
Right.
And I said, man, this doesn't feel good.
Might as well be 30
I
points.
thought if we could come right out and score a touchdown within about 3 minutes of the second half when we had the ball,
I agree. I felt
then I
that
would
way
have
too,
then I
and we
would have
didn't.
had hope that we were going to win the game,
And we didn't.
and that didn't happen.
No, it was another example of sputtering and just things not coming together.
We had like 3 first downs. We got down to about their 40, and then
we throw the flare on 1st and 10. We lose 3 yards, and 2nd and 13. Then we run it again.
We could not get to a corner against this team. Everything we tried outside, nothing worked. Inside, we could run a little bit, and then
They tackled really well.
They kept
too.
doing that crap where they were having Gabriel check down to the running back, and he kept getting tipped because he wasn't even looking off.
He wouldn't look off.
It was
of
like
it.
he
It was
snapped,
clear.
he'd take 2 steps back and try to throw it over the middle, and
and
they'd tip the
O-line
ball
is
up.
not pulling his arms down. Yeah, that was quite frustrating.
And I just can't. When we did our predictions this week, I didn't foresee a game where our defensive line didn't cause some havoc in the backfield.
Yeah.
Because we'd done it for 3 games, and all I was hoping was we'd get them off schedule if it was,
We did.
2nd and 8,
that's
and then
the
it
other
was
thing. We
third,
had 'em off
third,
schedule
and,
sometimes.
3rd and 9 because we got them a 2 or 3 yard loss on a
Yeah.
play. Then 3rd and 9 is Adrian Martinez's kryptonite normally because he's always been so careless with the ball.
It's amazing how he wasn't.
And then
careless with
instead,
the ball.
he just took off running.
And that's what.
Even if it wasn't called, he
how
just
did
took
we
off
not
running.
know that's what he was going to do? Right.
After the first quarter and a half, you should.
Well,
Everything
yeah,
after that should have been.
That's what I mean.
I think
I
it's
don't
two
understand
things.
what takes so long to make an adjustment.
Yeah.
It's one is I don't know which is worse. You have to know going in. A great coach like Kleiman's going to know. All right, I got to figure out a way for this guy not to turn the ball
Right.
over.
He's
and
a wild
the answer
card.
is run.
Right.
Look, run. And then when you see evidence of it throughout the entire course of the first quarter to the first half, how do you not know that's what it is and make some adjustment? And maybe they tried and the guys didn't execute
I think they
it.
did, and I think and Christian brought up a great point. And what we were doing, it looked like, was stuffing Aguebu and Stutzman in both A gaps, and then having the tackles on either side, pushing them out. And what it's just like Lucas said, is a Jalen Hurts scheme.
Yeah.
It was 2 steps,
Yeah.
look. We would over pursue.
We would over pursue around, and
their lineman would wedge it, and he would just take
like
off
on
up the
whatever it
middle.
was, a 55-yarder
beautiful.
right at the end of the game.
But
And
again,
it was
kept doing
perfect
it.
for that.
But that's such a. I mean,
Yeah, it was
is
3rd and 16.
Is that not a 10-second adjustment?
I know.
Defensive ends, stop getting so deep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But-
if you see you're getting past the quarterback, start
Yeah.
crashing back.
I come back to, is that just because the players aren't talented enough to know? Like, I can tell you don't do it, and yet you do it again.
But you keep
I
You
don't
keep
know.
doing
That
it.
seems.
You do it again. So I don't know if it's them not telling them, or it's the player just continuing to do it. You know, it's kind of like, don't jump off sides, and he did it again. Don't jump off sides,
I
obviously.
mean, we would have been better off to just hold our ground.
Right. In that play,
And
in
play
that play,
coverage.
we would have, and get a coverage sack.
Yep.
Instead of a pursuit sack.
Or
which we
making him
almost got.
or
Reed.
making him throw it
Yeah.
because
Right.
he sucks.
Right. And that's probably a great coaching criticism, to say we should have made him a one-dimensional quarterback that had to pass.
How did
And
their
we
H-back
didn't
keep
do
getting
that.
wide open?
Yeah.
That's number 34, I feel like he caught 5 balls for
Like 15
yards each time. Like, who the hell is covering him?
Yeah.
Deshaun White? Is that what the
Probably.
problem was?
So
Or
it's
Boyles.
either an individual player or player problems, or we just didn't execute in a way to try and make it one-dimensional. And, oh, my God, if there's a guy you want one-dimensional, and we're going to see it again in Spencer Sanders. So if we can't make him one-dimensional and make him pass the ball, we're going to hurt again.
Well, Spencer Sanders is a lot better than Martinez, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Well, true, but it's going to be
For
the same
us.
story. We're going to need to make him one-dimensional, and I think the one dimension you want him to try and do is pass the ball, because he'll make mistakes.
Yep.
That's a shortcoming, and that's a real point of frustration. I want to say, and I'm glad we're getting to this deep into the podcast, because this is by no means an excuse or me saying this is all it was. We've gone on for 30 minutes or something about everything else that's wrong and that we made mistakes with. But the officiating was bad tonight. It was bad. Start with the fact that the officials, the conference runs the clock, and they did not stop the clock at the end of in our
The whole
last
fourth quarter.
possession.
It felt like the whole fourth quarter.
I think you're right. The whole fourth quarter, especially the last possession, when we're making first downs and they're running the clock all the way through before they spot the ball, and we go out of bounds and they're running the clock before they spot the ball, never stopping it. A clear minute went off the clock, and that's a crucial minute, because we're going then to try and stop them to get the ball back, because we actually. So what happens there? We score, and we
need to stop. And
we need to stop them, and then we. Well, no, we kick on. We try to stop them after the onside kick, because we didn't kick it deep. We had to onside kick.
When we onside kick, they
The game
knelt
was
it out.
over. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we score with
was-
like
Oh,
score with about
yeah,
4
that's
minutes
right. They
left.
score
5 minutes
again.
left.
They
We had
score
5
again.
minutes
Yeah,
left.
they score again, and
The
we
third
score
and
again.
16.
Yeah. So we
Yeah.
score, and that's when they don't stop the clock properly. They go down after we kick it deep to them to try and hold them. That's the whole 3rd and 19 and all that, and they score, and then we go and score again, and we have to kick the onside kick. So the officiating was bad. Missed holding, repeatedly missed holding opportunities.
Yes.
A couple false starts
That they had. They didn't
that
call.
weren't getting called. Especially on some
The pass
crucial, like,
interference
3rd
on
and
us
2s.
that was mythical. It was
Yep.
just absolute nonsense.
I even think some people on Twitter said the ref had his flag out before Broyles even got there. Like he was just like ready.
The one Broyles,
Locked and loaded.
It
the
wasn't
one
even
Broyles
close.
kind of, he ran, if he'd have turned his head,
his head.
a
That's
half
what I
second.
said.
He
Yes.
did turn his
Just turn
head,
around.
but he
But
did
too
it
late,
as soon as he
too late.
ran into the guy.
Right.
But that guy was also up in the air
Up
Yeah.
on him.
over him.
And
that
and
one,
again,
to
if
me-
you're a good player, if you just turn your head just that much sooner, you're not gonna
I
get
would have
that
wanted
call.
that call if it was on the other side for us, but I could see that being a no call as well.
Absolutely.
It could go either way.
Absolutely.
It's
It's just
either-
another moment. It was a crucial moment.
It was.
It's another third down, I'm pretty sure.
So I felt
Yep.
like the officiating was, again, up to the Big 12 standards of piss poor
well,
and
that's,
awful.
That's our first conference game of the year.
Yep.
So it's
what do you know?
Not a great start.
Yep.
Not a great start at all.
Got 8 more to look forward to, just like that.
And we get all next year.
Maybe, maybe not.
Yep,
I know this is
all
off
next year.
topic, but I wanted to bring it up before I forget. Gabriel's got to take some of those running lanes and go.
Yes.
If he
God, that
80
fourth,
yards,
that
go.
4th and 2 or whatever we
Yeah.
threw to Stoops.
Yes.
It literally, if he just runs around to the left of
Yes.
the tackle, he's got at least 10 to 15 yards if he doesn't make a guy miss
There is
and run the
only
whole.
one defensive end over there. We both saw
And you're
it.
Jeff Levy. You called a design run on a 3rd and 7 on a crucial drive last week to start
Yeah.
the game, and you run it for a touchdown. You don't call anything like that this week.
And I realize he's not Matt Corral, but he's got wheels enough that he's going to get
He's got 2 yards
10 or
in him.
15 yards.
Yeah.
I mean, on a 4th and 2,
Yeah.
it's not
He's
hard for
not
him to get
Tom Brady.
5.
Yeah.
Right.
He
Well,
can
and
do it.
if you're not gonna be able to throw the passes into the windows that you need to throw them in, figure out how to use your legs more.
I mean, the overthrow to Stoops really killed us in that. Was it the second quarter?
yes,
Mm-hmm.
to go up.
The over-
That would have been to go up. 20, no, it would
That'd
have been
been a tie.
21-21.
Yeah. That really hurt. He didn't put any air underneath that ball.
3 passes. That one.
And Drake was just ran right past this guy.
The fourth down play to Stoops also.
He rifled it.
And another
bad
play he
pass.
missed. He overthrew Mims
Yes.
in the northwest
Yeah.
corner.
Horribly.
Yeah.
Horribly.
Which would have been
At first,
always
yeah.
every play
Which
was
is
going to be
That was
interesting
about
yet
15,
again.
15 or 18 yards.
So, as a compliment to Levy's offense, the plays are there. The guy's just not executing them, and that, we expect that you're going to probably have a different quarterback soon in this regime, maybe sooner than we want it to be, actually, because it seems like maybe he can't accomplish the things we want. Again, we've been very spoiled with great quarterback play, and in particular, Baker and Kyler, and to a lesser degree, Hurts.
I think the tight ends were underutilized today. I mean,
I do too.
Did Will score 2 touchdowns?
In the fourth quarter.
Yeah, but it was there earlier in the game.
in the middle of the
was.
field.
Middle of the field looked like it was.
Well,
Yeah,
obviously, the
see-
Our
midfield
receivers,
said those
I
were the
don't-
overthrows.
Seam routes.
Other than the deep
weren't
balls, our
used.
receivers weren't getting a ton of separation, but it seems like the underneath
He
tight
doesn't
end
like
route
throwing
was
those
open.
balls, man. I really don't think he likes throwing those balls.
I don't think so either.
I don't think he trusts. I don't know if it's because he's
He's
scared to
short,
throw an interception.
But he'll throw the check down to the running back that gets to the line of
because
scrimmage.
it's high percentage of a completion. I think he's terrified
I
of throwing
mean,
an
an
interception.
8-yard tight
Truly.
end pass is too. And Parker
I'm not
hasn't
saying
even
it's
got a
not.
chance to do
But maybe
anything.
for him it's not, because he's short and he gets him batted down. And if you're short and you can't see, it's a scary thing because you think that you're throwing it. No. You think that you're throwing it to an unknown zone that you don't see a linebacker. So I don't know. It seems like there's something there. When you look at the checkdowns that he's doing, that seems concerning too, because he's always checking down to the safest possible route.
Yeah.
And I don't really understand that.
Well, it's kind of funny because one of my complaints with Riley was we never had checkdowns. We were always
Right.
trying to force the ball.
Right.
And
Yeah.
now we're
Check.
over checking down.
Yeah.
So we got to find a happy
Safety
medium
valve.
there.
Safety
But
valve. And
Two,
so go ahead.
we talked about on a midweek pod. We actually praised Dylan for really not throwing
Into
coverage
Yeah.
in bad
I'm glad
passes.
you're bringing this
Right.
up. Yeah.
But you still have to sometimes force the ball deep.
You got to
on
try
play.
some.
You got to
some
give it a
things.
shot.
Yep.
And he is a little reluctant
So-
to just.
It seemed like you had all day to throw in the first half too.
Yes.
And then there were parts of the third quarter. I mean,
Oh yeah. He had lots of time.
Yeah, he had plenty of time.
Farouk,
Time wasn't an issue.
He threw one to Farouk where he kind of mossed the guy. You got to give him a shot.
Yeah, it was. It's so many things. It's not. That's the downside.
Yeah.
It's not one or two little things. It seems like it was 10 little things, and the one big thing of not stopping the quarterback run,
Right. I
which
would
they've
agree.
done on us for years. I mean,
It was little
it's
things.
Skylar Thompson. It's Colin Klein. It's
Yep.
whoever the hell was before him.
Well, through different coaching regimes.
Yeah.
It's just it's so funny how the identity of this team carries on through multiple coaching regimes, where you've got the little running back. You've got the the wiry receiver. I don't know. It's just crazy.
And you got a bunch of no-name, try-hard wide receivers.
Right.
A bunch of Bill Snyder
Can you
guys.
Except
name-
for
can you
Lockett.
name-
And yet
Except
Bill
for Lockett,
Snyder's so
they're
long gone.
not
no-names.
Clement's not from the tree of Bill Snyder,
No.
is he?
No.
But you could have fooled
That
me.
guy
though.
loves playing
Yeah.
OU, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, he does.
Yeah, I did
So-
not expect to get out-coached tonight.
So I noted something just a second ago that touches on what you were saying, Jay. I think Gabriel in particular is too careful. He's being too careful.
Double clutching
And
on some of it.
You want to get a nice balance. You don't want to necessarily take a lot of chances by any means, obviously. But at the same point, they're going somewhere. That's why you have to move. Okay, I hope they have enough room to get out. You got to take chances when chances are appropriate. So I think he is being too careful, and maybe now with a loss under your belt, and I think about the entire team, can they loosen up now? Can they loosen up? Can they loosen up to the extent of letting players play that they wouldn't necessarily let play? Is this the monkey off your back that you say, okay, we've lost. We obviously are still pursuing a Big 12 title, maybe a backdoor hunt into the college football playoff. You laugh, but honestly,
Look at the football games today.
Look at the football
games today.
Us versus Georgia.
That was my that was
bring 'em
going to be
on.
my last point of the
Look
game.
at us against.
We just lost to a team that lost to Tulane, and you're like, bring on Georgia.
No, what I'm saying is there's nobody that clearly impossible to beat. We looked better against Kent State than Georgia did today. Georgia had a chance to lose that game. We did not have a chance to lose to Kent State.
That's fine, but we're
Let's see what
four
we
games in
do.
the season. We've already got at least one loss. We've got one loss, and
You don't think
There's
we're
more
a
to come.
backdoor a chance
I think
to
we
get into
we
the
got
playoff?
another loss on the schedule at minimum.
Well, that doesn't answer anything. That tells me
Two
we
losses
still
get
have
you
a
out of the
chance.
playoff more than likely.
Well, you're not guaranteeing it one additional loss. You're saying we could lose another game. We would all agree. Trust me, we are still an outside contender for the playoff. Anybody that's going to be in the top 15 is. Maybe the top 20 at this point.
We lost at the right time.
We are genius. It was
That's
it was
true. You
all
don't
You
wanna
part
guys
of
are
the
lose
plan.
late. You
all
don't wanna lose
idiots.
late.
It's Iowa State circa 2017.
I'm calling
baby.
it now.
It
We're
is.
not a playoff team.
That's an easy call. That's
September
that's a-
24th.
That's a
I like to
non-take.
say happy birthday to my sister Holly. She was at the game with us.
It was her birthday?
She never misses games
I didn't know it was her birthday.
at home, and today was her birthday. And that's
Happy birthday,
That's
Holly.
how she's rewarded with a
Happy
with a
birthday.
crap OU loss.
You should have got her something nicer than this. You
Yeah.
jerk.
I'd
Wow.
planned on bringing home a victory, but didn't.
Well, I
happen.
think there's a chance that Holly will be happy, and that we'll
Nope.
loosen up, and this is an opportunity for us to experiment and do some different things. It should be, because you should realize that you can't play close to the best. We obviously, and they probably do realize, they're not so talented that they don't need to take chances.
we took chances on defense. We blitzed. We had stunts. We did way more on the front line this game than we had the last three, and nothing worked.
Well, you got to keep taking chances.
Nothing
Yeah,
works.
it,
That's the way
did,
that
it
works.
definitely did not get home tonight.
You got to keep taking chances.
No sacks.
So that relates to something I wrote down. Are we being too harsh? You obviously don't think so.
Nope.
I think
Team is trash.
there's a chance we're being too harsh. I think that's too harsh. Team is
Nope.
not trash.
I think, yeah.
This
I think,
team finishes 16th in the country at the end of the season.
I felt different. Like at the end of this, I don't know
That's
if it's
not
just
bad.
because
That's
of,
trash.
I don't know if it's because my 4-year-old daughter was with us or what, and she's sitting there the whole game, not understanding what's going on and cheering. And I'm just
Oblivious
man,
like her dad.
like ignorance is bliss. Like it's great. I on the other hand am tuned in, but man, it's hard to win football games.
It is hard.
Like it's tough to win in this league.
it's
Like,
hard to win all your football games.
So, and there's a couple teams out there who make it look easy on a very regular basis, and even those teams get beat. So
Even those teams struggle. 2 weeks in a row, those teams, Alabama and Georgia,
a good
have
Alabama,
struggled.
a national championship participant Alabama got beat by a subpar Texas A&M team last year. So, yeah, this team got beat by Tulane, one of the best non-Power 5 schools in the league, last week. That being said, I think we're being a little harsh. I think it's easy to be harsh when you lose a game and you expect a lot especially you expect your team to win, and we expect our team to win every game.
We want them to win.
It's going to be easy to
We
be
don't.
harsh after that.
It's a combination. We expect them to win, and we want them to win.
Exactly.
That's what's really rough.
I mean, prediction-wise, I mean, I picked 33 points. I think we put up as many points as I thought we would. Did not expect to struggle the way we struggled on defense.
And yet, for those of us who predicted in the 40s, we obviously could have scored in the 40s tonight. If you connect
Not
on
far
things
off.
you should have done,
Not far
we
off.
could
Oh,
have
are we close?
scored on the 40s. Yeah, we're
Oh,
close.
oh, we're close.
You don't think we're
Where
close?
have I heard that before?
I don't understand.
I heard that for 9 games last
What's
year.
what's
We're
the
close.
beef with that? What's the beef with that? Are we not close?
We're not close.
We lost by 7 points tonight.
Yeah.
What is close
to a
to
team
you?
that's going to finish probably 8-4 or 7-5?
Well,
What
that's
is their
his
record
point,
right
though.
now?
I mean, A&M was 8-4 and beat Alabama last
Yeah,
year.
yeah.
I mean,
We are close.
It's an embarrassing loss.
We are really close. No, this is not an embarrassing loss.
It is to me.
Embarrassing loss.
I
would
walked
have
out of
been-
that stadium
No,
embarrassed.
I've
by
seen
Kent State.
embarrassing losses. Yeah.
I walked out of that stadium embarrassed.
No, embarrassing losses are when you lose to K-State like we did 2 years ago. That was an embarrassing loss. When you're a 28-point favorite.
And you're up by 23 in the fourth
And you're up
quarter.
by, exactly. That's an embarrassing loss.
Yeah.
We're close. We're definitely close. So I wrote down a note because this works perfectly for that. But before I get to that note, because this will be, I think I want to just get one point in. The onside kick. I noticed it slightly too late, but I don't get paid millions of dollars to do this stuff. We made a crucial mistake in that onside kick
By
attempt.
not hitting the
By
guy
not-
before he gets the ball.
No, by not kicking it deep. There was no one back. There should be a signal that's clearly given.
There wasn't
Oh,
a
they didn't
single
have a-
player
they didn't have a
back.
deep
There
guy?
was not a single deep player. We should have kicked it to about the 30-yard line or just, you know what I mean,
And
squib
scrum.
with all
For a
your
scrum.
mind
And
and
scrum.
run for a scrum, and we have a chance to get that ball. We
And
have
then-
a better
and then you
chance
got the
than
ball
what
on the
happened.
20-yard
And you
line.
got the
And
ball
you
on
have
the
the ball on
20-yard
the
line.
20-yard
Yeah.
line.
With 30
with
seconds
35
to go.
seconds to go. So, yeah, that was a crucial mistake on our part that is very frustrating.
Does it change that you can't run forward anymore on the kick?
I don't think even that matters. I mean, we're nearly to the ball 10 yards down where those guys are. Those guys have to turn around and run backwards.
Yeah.
We're running
But they have
front.
but they have a 10 to 15 yard
And I'm not kidding.
head start.
I bet I could get there before they, or at the same time they could. Me, I bet
I
I
don't
could
like
do that.
I liked when people send the gun just to blow up the guys that are about to catch the
Right.
ball because there's nothing illegal
Right.
about that.
Right.
And then you
Well, you got to
just
kick
take
the ball
chance,
deeper. He only got it to
you
about
just
the 8-yard
take the
line.
chances with
Right.
either
Either one's better.
Getting to it
I
first.
It
really
was a
wish
terrible kick.
It was a terrible kick. I really wish he would have saw what was happening and been able to kick it to about the 30-yard line.
Yeah.
Just drill the ball in a squibs fashion that is wild and bouncing free, and let's see what happens.
Yeah.
I wish they would have done that. But here was the point I wanted to make. Something I went going back to I think a midweek pod, maybe a preseason pod as well. I said how this has echoes and rhymes with the past of when Stoops came here. Sadly, I think it's 1999 and it's not 2000. This is a team with lots of potential that has a lot of great elements to it, but it's not a complete package yet. And that's what 1999 was, where we disappointedly would lose several games. I wanted to hope that this was 2000, but it looks more and more like it's 1999, where it's a team that's not quite there yet. We're going to get a lot of great recruiting that comes in. We're going to develop our system, and we're going to see a better product top to bottom next year. But this year we're
more
going to have to
consistent
struggle
product.
probably with something that is a little bit pieced together and a little bit of duct tape to make it work.
Yeah.
And I'd love to
think
be
that's
wrong
fair.
on that. I'd love to have it turn around from here and this be like 2017 and this is our only loss.
well, it's not going to
going
be
all the way.
7-5-99.
No. And I'm not predicting
Yeah.
that. I'm not predicting that. I'm predicting the way we felt about 99, where you're like, oh my God, we're so good. And that's the difference between where we are in 98 versus where we are in 2021. We are so much better than we were at rock bottom in 98. So to get to 7-5 was a huge leap. I'm saying to do the equivalent this year would be just to make the Big 12 championship game and potentially win it and see what you go
See what
where you do
happens.
from there.
Yep.
But it's frustrating as hell. It's awful. It's awful to to figure out that you are short of where you hope you were. It is a lot like when we sat here, had burgers that I grilled right there in that after that Iowa State loss in 2017, and we felt like all was lost.
Yep.
And that sucked. And I'm not here to say we're
And it
going to
was.
go to
we
the
did not win the
playoff,
national championship that season.
but we sure as hell
But
got
we had a
close.
shot. They
And-
gave us a chance to win.
And what we were rightfully more
And honestly, we
disappointed
shoulda
about
won.
then is we should have won. We were a better team then. We were as good as they come, at least offensively.
Offensively.
And that's a great example, a great parallel to this game. Defense is not working that game. Offense is not working that game.
Yep.
I mean,
And in that game, we had
Same thing.
turnovers to blame. We didn't have turnovers to blame, but I'll actually.
Are you surprised by the
want
lack
some
of turnovers so far?
I am, and I think it's mean we're playing too careful. I want to see some turnovers, both sides. I want to see some turnovers both ways.
Just felt so behind today.
Yeah,
Just felt behind.
like we just woke up. Like woke up late, and yeah. So
We did not honor the Selmans with that performance.
we did not honor the Selmans. That
Because
sucks.
they would have seen what our defensive line did, and
Yep.
they would be ashamed.
That really, really sucks.
We got to get some beef on that line, man. Which
Yeah.
Isaiah Coe looked good.
It's just
I
too
mean, Johnson
inconsistent.
had.
It's just
I
not
think Johnson had 2
consistent enough.
tackles for losses, and I think Coe had a tackle for loss,
Yeah.
It's
and that was literally
inconsistency,
it.
'cause
I
we
didn't. It was
blew up.
Grimes on the field today. Other than the first
Right.
series, I didn't
Well,
see him.
or down. I mean, neither defensive
Downs
end
made a
any
couple-
impact.
Downs was in there
He
quite
made
a
a
bit.
couple like crash backs from behind.
He
when
was definitely
he
getting
got
subbed in
Deuce
and out,
Vaughn
though.
from behind, but yeah,
I mean, like I said, it was the inconsistency because there were plenty of times we blew up their run plays. Also, but then 2 plays
Quarterback.
later we'd have a 20-yard one right up the gut.
Adrian Martinez just mistake free.
He was mistake free, which
Shocking.
is shocking, awful, and that's probably
I mean, he almost beat us at home last year.
we have something to say, something to blame ourselves on there that we should we should be more disruptive and we should make him more prone to mistakes. But at the same time, you expect a guy like that's going to throw some mistakes your way, and
Right.
Yep.
he sure as hell didn't. Wow, not that you're banking on it, but my God,
I was
he's
banking
not
on
going
it
to play
with
that
my-
clean the whole
With
rest
my
of the
score
season.
prediction, I was banking on him making some mistakes.
Absolutely.
Well, even in his passing
Reasonably
game,
so.
He
his
was
passing game looked
terrible
it
last
looked
week.
great.
Yeah,
They were going to bench him this week.
You're right.
Like if he came, their beat writers and stuff were like, if he doesn't have a good first quarter at OU, there's a chance we see another quarterback.
Well, it's
Homeboy
too bad
just
our
earned
defense
himself
didn't
another
step
start.
up for that first quarter.
Now you have local news people like we were watching.
yeah,
talking about-
Myron Patton. What
He
an
had
idiot!
such a great game that this is exactly the type of quarterback the NFL
NFL
wants.
looks for. Yeah,
Myron Patton is not a smart person.
no, he has no business being a sportscaster.
That's where it's fallen to in that industry, though. That's sad. But he's been around a long time, actually.
We have to stop making mediocre quarterbacks
Look good.
look good.
It's frustrating. And I hope we can do it before we get the talent that we know we're bringing in. But I'm afraid it's going to take, for the most part, a wait and get the cycle to play itself out. And we get the talent that we know can take care of that and do it. And that's something that talent, it cures a lot of ills. Just like speed cures a lot of ills. A guy is going to listen to a brilliant defensive mind like Venables and the rest and take in what they can. They're going to develop a lot of great skill techniques. Offensive line, everybody's going to respond well to coaches. But at the end of the day, a guy that's super talented can cover up a lot of sloppy things he doesn't know
Yeah.
with just his talent.
Yep.
Just his size, just his abilities, etc.
Which is a reason for Kanek to be in the football game.
Exactly. Get those guys in there,
Get 'em in
and the
early.
sooner you get them in there, the more
You know
they
what,
develop.
though?
Martinez
what
was
I
able
think-
to get the corner against like a Guebu. He was able to outrun those guys, and I was
Aguebu
thinking, why is Kanek in there?
does not
Because
look good.
he can outrun the. Kanek can
Yeah.
probably be the only guy that can hang with Martinez's
I
speed
agree.
around the
Yeah,
edge.
agree.
Aguebu is only decent in the gap when
He had
when
he had a
finds
bunch
gap.
of tackles. He had like 15 tackles or something today.
Yeah, but they come his way. I mean,
Yeah.
somebody's got to tackle.
Because
somebody.
Stutz too isn't the most fleet of foot to the
Right,
sideline.
Right.
Today's
You
the
need
fourth
somebody
game
to make
though.
that up.
Today's the fourth game for redshirt. I mean, does that playing any role? These guys not.
Nah.
like,
I don't think we're deep enough
we're
at
not.
all to
We're not
worry
redshirting.
about that.
I don't think we're redshirting anybody
But
except for maybe a receiver.
I would
or two,
hope
like,
we're
He's
not.
out there on special teams, so that counts.
Yeah, he was. That's right. That's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah, I would imagine that's not a factor. I would hope
Oh,
that's
man,
not
there's
a
just
factor.
there's got to be some different personnel you can run out there. I mean, we've heard so much about give Harrington a run, give him a
Yeah, I
drive,
didn't see Harrington much.
So
give
here,
him a drive.
Here could be a problem that they're running into. So again, I think very highly of these coaches. I think their minds are very good. They are looking for players who can respond to what they're trying to develop as a system.
Yeah.
And they get these guys who get it. They, on paper, know what to do.
Right, I think Broyles gets it.
And they're going to say, well, he's my guy because he gets it. And they're not realizing that when he was at Clemson, for instance, he could be really, really selective between two different players, the one who gets it and the one who doesn't, because both of those guys were all-stars. Both of those guys were phenomenal athletes. Here he's dealing with a not as great athlete and a pretty darn good young athlete. And he's choosing the guy who gets it on paper, but in fact can't make up for the gap that he's got athletically with the other younger kid.
That's a good point.
So
It's a really good point.
That'll be something they may have to hopefully see and adjust for.
And like you said, it's just going to take time.
It will take time. I'm very positive about where we're headed. I would say I'm long-term optimistic, short-term pessimistic, and short-term includes this season, although I still hold out hope that we can get back and compete for the Big 12 title, obviously.
The problem with how you played tonight, looking forward, is, I mean, just about every game now,
It's going to be
as a
replicated.
fan, I'm worried about.
Yeah.
Right.
Because
Well, there's two things. One, you're worried about it, and the other is it's make or break. in
And there's
some
a
respects.
blueprint on a way to beat us
A little bit.
offensively
Yeah.
because,
Yeah.
hey, have your quarterback take a couple reads if it's not there, just take
He's
off
running.
running.
But see, that'll be interesting again because last year we knew going into each game, the other team's going to possess the ball
Yep.
and they're going to extend drives.
They're going to rush 3, drop
So
8.
we're going to see exactly. So we're going to see, do we have? Is the coaching going to put us over the top, or
Yeah.
are we pretty much stuck with
Is
the same
this
personnel?
staff as stubborn as the last one?
Right.
I would hope not. I would guess not.
I would
but we'll
say
see.
they're not.
I do want to thank the fellas today for being so piss poor that I've decided not to go to TCU next weekend. So there's that.
They saved you that.
Yep.
11 o'clock.
Did they really?
11's been
Yep.
announced. Yep.
He got announced?
Mm-hmm.
Brutal.
I saw it.
That's brutal.
That's the
I'm still going.
most inopportune time.
We'll see.
We'll talk about it.
We'll talk about
If it was 2:30, there was a pretty good chance I was going. But 11,
We'll just leave.
That
We'll just leave at
sucks.
5.
Another thing we've talked about constantly on this pod is the complementary play.
Mhm.
We're still definitely working out those kinks because the time of possessions for all these games, it's not sustainable. It's just not.
the first
Unless
drive
you're
took 1
scoring-
minute
Unless
off
you're
the
scoring
clock.
like crazy.
Constantly.
Right.
It's just not sustainable.
1 minute off the clock on that first drive we had.
Yeah, I mean, it's a sign that you're not getting the defensive success that you want, because even if they're running the ball and trying to eat clock, and the clock is just running all the time because the play count is really low, they're still getting a lot of time with physical contact on your defense. I guess the way to measure that perfectly or better would be to say put time of possession then adjusted for number of plays run, and then you would see a little better, truer figure of it, because obviously if you're running considerably fewer plays even though you're possessing the ball a lot, that's not a big deal. Guys are just standing on the field.
Yeah.
But they're not. They're running, they're hitting us, and they're getting first downs.
And maybe I don't know enough about the offense in general, but I don't understand a hurry-up second down play when first down was a 1-yard run.
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand the hurry up to second 9.
Agreed.
Like, okay,
Agreed.
if you got 7 yards,
Right.
let's go. Let's move the ball. Let's
Right.
go.
Right.
If you
There's
just
gotta be
ran a play that
a
was crap
threshold.
and your
Let's
your
figure out the
line
right
just got
play.
blown up, let's take a second here.
Right.
Let's come up with a better play.
Because-
Let's go win second down.
Because they
I
probably
don't
had,
get that.
they obviously had the advantage on you, and hurrying into their advantage probably is just not a good
Yeah,
strategy.
I-
Yeah, that seems like a mistake.
Irritates the hell out of me.
If we're going to talk about irritation, then I'm going to throw in, I don't like just the look and feel of the stupid announcer saying
Boomer, yeah.
after it.
That was horrendous.
But what really bugs me, and a friend pointed this out, texted a group, if we're going to run hurry up, then damn sure don't do it. Because he's saying boomer half of the time when the ball's in Dylan Gabriel's hands. And that's annoying. And that can't work out great that's just throwing your sync off. It's just not good.
Yeah, Venomals needs to go up there and tell him to shut the heck up.
He needs to learn to say the down and distance sooner. And I'm sure that's a thing that's a new thing they're doing. I don't think he created it. But it's not in sync. You're not doing it right. It's kind of like the flashing lights. It's a little overdone. They haven't figured it out yet.
I actually thought we might get a penalty tonight from
yeah,
that.
for sure.
They should.
We were like 3 seconds away from getting a penalty.
They tried.
K-State
and it was smart. K-State was screaming about it. He was turning and saying, "What's going on with this? What's going on with this?"
The punter was really pissed when they were about to punt.
Yes.
Yep, I do. I think
who
we
gives
were
a shit
3
about
seconds
punters?
away from getting a stadium penalty of some kind.
Yeah, absolutely.
Delay
game.
That would have been a first down.
That would have been first down. We've been blaming that on losing the game because it would have looked like it, felt like it at that point. So anyway, they got to work that stuff out, and it worries me just a little bit. I mean, there are many steps in the right direction. There's a few steps that are bad, and you can overplay this stuff. I want us to find a good balance. So I think we mentioned this before, so I'm going to reiterate. I want to find a good balance with all this stuff. But one of the balances can't be the announcers talking when the ball's in our quarterback's hand. And I also don't like the idea that we need to use the announcer to add crowd noise.
No.
That seems rinky-dink to me. That's down the road of OSU putting on their giant screen all of the pretend yellow beams of light to make it look like it's field goal, to confuse the kicker.
I do think the crowd was loud.
I think the crowd was really loud and appropriately loud. And appropriately loud for a game that you're favored to win by more than or almost 2 touchdowns. You can only demand so much of your crowd in terms of how loud they're going to be, and they have a right to be disappointed when you're not showing a product that is what we believe it should be in terms of output and dominance. But they were loud. They were definitely loud. And they stuck together. I mean, that was a thick crowd right until the end. There was nobody leaving. I did notice 2 odd things.
Oh, no, there was a big mass exodus at the 8-minute mark when Kansas State took that 14-point
Yeah,
lead.
there was that.
That was
it
too
was
soon.
ridiculous.
That was
bad.
Yeah, I
That
wasn't
was
ready
too
to give
soon.
up on that one either.
That was too soon.
There's too much can happen.
Way
in
too
college
soon.
I told my
football.
dad, I
Right.
said, if we score in like a minute and a half here,
Right. I
and
agree.
then just
We had all of our timeouts.
and we had all 3 of our timeouts, and then we
Completely
just get
agree.
them off the field. We could get the ball back with 3 minutes down
Yes.
7,
And we
Yes.
did.
and everybody left.
We almost did.
That's
Not everybody, but
negative on the crowd for
Yep.
that for sure. I noticed there was a weird section up in the top east on the far north corner. Did you notice that the whole section was above a certain row? The whole section was empty. And then that we think their band was supposed to come and didn't, because down on that tunnel the entire section was empty.
I feel like there was
And
less
eventually
purple in
people
the stands
moved
this
in
year
there.
than most other years, except after the game you noticed it
Then
more.
you noticed it
But
pretty
there wasn't any
prominently.
huge pockets of purple. I didn't.
Oh, I don't
I
think-
didn't see.
I can't imagine their
And normally
fans,
there is.
honestly, after last week, really thought they were going to come win.
They
Right.
normally travel pretty well though.
They're just coming for a good time.
Or they already live here. I know quite a few K-State fans myself who live here.
Well, I hope they don't listen to this pod.
I know one guy that I hope he doesn't listen to this pod for different reasons. But so it's so tough. I don't know. You never want to lose a game, but if you go back to, other than the bitterness of the nature of a blue blood like in losing to them, but at least in the Ohio State loss of 2016, you're losing to a team who is really good. This is just not good enough of a team to be losing to.
No.
This is so frustrating.
Especially as consistently as we've lost to them.
Yeah, and so the only team in the last 30 years to have a winning record against OU. That doesn't make sense. We've been too good.
With a minimum of 2 games.
Right.
more.
Yeah. Throw out the LSUs and that nonsense. But of course, a lot of that's the 90s, and that was our own time lost in the woods.
We're
obviously.
6-5 of the last 11.
But that's what's crazy.
That's wild.
And we've been good. We've won a lot of Big 12 titles in the last 11. We have lost to a team that is just not that damn good.
Too many Michael Bishops and Earl Robersons, Colin Kleins,
So
Skylar Thompson.
this
And now
is
Adrian Martinez added to that list.
way looking ahead, and weird guesswork. But would you want to face K-State? Is that even possible,
No.
given who they are in the Big
In
12 title?
Nope,
No, I wouldn't.
no chance.
I wouldn't
don't think
either.
I wouldn't.
I wouldn't either. Because I think they'd backdoor their way in, and we'd overlook them
And they're
again.
better than us.
Yeah, I don't think they're better than us, but
I mean, they
think we'd
proved it
overlook
tonight.
them again.
I don't think they're better than us either. I do think the style at which they come at us is, for some reason, problematic, regardless of coaching staff.
Not a fluke.
Which is so weird. I mean, it's probably a fluke. There's a flukiness to it. There's
Nope.
not something magical about purple versus crimson.
I mean, if they've won 5 of the last 11, that's not a fluke.
Yeah, that's probably a fluke. That's not in the scheme and the realm of things that happen in the world. That's not that crazy. But I don't know. It does seem like what I think we can say definitively is they're a very well coached team.
Yeah.
And you probably just don't want to play a really well coached team. But you're going to probably play a well coached team if you're in the Big 12 title.
If Kleiman can figure out how to play everyone like he plays us,
Yeah, that's
He'd
that's the problem.
he'd be coaching
How can
at
he not figure that
He'd be
out?
coaching
We're going
at
to
a-
watch out for 4-0 Kansas pretty soon, too.
Does he
SEC
does he
school.
spend all his time on that? Or at least, Kansas
I don't know.
is Kansas and Kansas State going to be our toughest games?
Could be.
It's crazy.
I don't know. Got to
Well,
bounce back next week.
they're leaders in the Big 12.
Got to bounce back.
Leaders in the thought space.
It's very nuts. It's just crazy. But I don't know. We'll see. I'm hopeful we'll bounce back.
Play
We'll
another team in purple.
Another purple team down in Fort Worth. Another team. It's really a tricky game now because, one, you can't afford to lose another game. Two, every game sort of presents as a trap game, but especially a game right before Texas.
They've got the fastest guy in the nation on their team too.
Do they really?
On offense. So.
Well, we'll have to keep him from.
Well, let's get
being
Justin
too
Broyles
fast.
on him.
Yep.
That's right. That'll shut him down.
Or
That
get
Guebu.
a Guebu off the edge.
Yeah.
We'll be all right.
Well,
be all right.
we'll see if we can get a midweek pod out. It
might be too angry.
Challenged. Too angry?
We might be too angry at that point.
It might be. We'll definitely get a post game one way or the other. Either having attended the game or having watched the game, maybe together. So, otherwise, anything else to cover, guys, in this disappointing Sooner loss? Last loss under Brent Venables for the next 10 years, I predicted.
We were there for it.
You know, Bob made it to the last game of his third season before he lost a home game, and now Brent loses
He's just getting it out of the way. It's getting out of the way.
Embarrassing.
He wanted you to be
Lon
there for
Kruger
it.
effect. Can't beat his alma mater.
We talked about it on the midweek.
We
It
did.
Could be. It could be.
Not looking good.
I don't think so. Well, if nothing else, until next time, Boomer.
Sooner.